Okay, we are here to talk a little bit about how sustainability and innovation interact with each other, and in this case, for the Jardine Matheson group in particular, and we've brought an example thanks to Elfis from Hongkong land. So how are we innovating to a sustainable future? From my perspective, I'm the head of sustainability, so my job is to provide you with a high-level view of what we're doing and where we're headed. So let me see if this works. Not working. Coming, okay. So why sustainability is at the core of our corporate strategy, and why do we really care about it? Well, essentially, we have a long-term view of the markets, rooted in the markets of Asia. And what's really important to highlight is that we've got multiple sectors, different geographies. We're focused in all different kinds of industries, and this scale is really a major advantage when it comes to the impact that we can have when it comes to sustainable development in the region. But even more interesting is that it actually makes us a more resilient business if we were to consider our sustainability challenges and the objectives that we put in place to address those challenges, but also to take advantage of the opportunities as we start to identify them. So we're meeting the needs of our stakeholders, of course. We've been hearing a lot more about that lately. I'm sure a lot of you have been hearing all about ESG and sustainability and so on over the last few years. And this has become a really hot topic, and our stakeholders are coming to us and starting to ask a lot more questions. We're also looking for a focus on sustainable growth in Asia. We know that Asia is the engine of growth for the world, and we would like to be on that positive, sustainable development side of things when it comes to that growth. And finally, it's about delivering the long-term value as a business for the region and for our partners and stakeholders. So another thing to point out is actually it's coming from the very top. This is from our joint statement from the chairman and our managing director, and they say that sustainability considerations have become integral to decisions about our daily operations and our future growth. It's a big driver for the business, straight from the top all the way down to the front lines of our operations. When I say our, I mean the group. Our strategy is very much driven by the megatrends that we're seeing. And so we've been seeing, of course, a lot of impact on from climate change, and we've been especially over the last week or so. I imagine that quite a few of you have been reading about quite a few physical impacts that a lot of different countries are facing, and we're also hearing about the knock-on effects. So we ourselves are looking at this as a major potential impact and how we can be prepared for that. So we're looking at climate change and our work around carbon, or in this case, decarbonization, risk and identifying those risks, and also ensuring that we continue to be a resilient business. On the other hand, we've also got some issues related to biodiversity loss. We've got land and ecosystem degradation in the region. That's been a very kind of long-standing challenge that the region's been facing. And so what role can we play to address those issues from a responsible consumption side? And then we're also thinking about some of these demographic trends that we're seeing, population changes, some of the urbanization that we're seeing in the region, and the inequalities that have been rising quite a lot. So how can we help in shaping social inclusion for our communities? So these are the three focus areas for the group itself, and these are joint focus areas across all of the different business units as well. So in terms of the progress so far, I'm not going to go into too much detail here. But basically, I just want to highlight that there has been a lot of work being done, and it's not really, it cannot really be encapsulated into these little bullet points, but just to point out that we have a group approach to decarbonization. As I mentioned, we have identified our physical risks and from a preliminary study that we've conducted, and those are the direct physical effects of climate change. And we have also committed to supporting a just energy transition in the region, and especially in Southeast Asia, where we have operations in that area. And then on responsible consumption, we're working together to identify areas where we can start to improve our resource efficiency and work towards a more circular economy. And from shaping social inclusion, the group-wide volunteering program is a major, major effort that really harnesses more than 400,000 employees into different areas of impact when it comes to our communities. For climate action, I'm not going to go through all this. This is just a really more detailed analysis, but just to highlight that, yes, we're looking into how we can achieve net zero by 2050. That's not to say that we are fully 100% aligned at this point in time, but we're working on it. The next thing to highlight here is that Hong Kong Land has actually committed to a 2030 carbon reduction target, and that's been validated by what's called the Science-Based Targets Initiative, which is the foremost initiative when it comes to decarbonization and net zero pathways in line with the 1.5 degree scenarios. So this is a pretty big deal, really, and we continue to work with our different business units to align everyone on the same approach and the same credible pathways towards net zero. As I mentioned before, supporting a just energy transition. So here we've worked with our 2 businesses in Southeast Asia that are in this industry. So Jardine Cycle and Carriage and Astra out of Indonesia. And both are, along with the group, aligned on our commitment to a just energy transition, and that includes scaling up our investments in renewable energy and related innovations around that, and as well as diversifying into non-coal mineral mining. This is all part of a wider view into how we can support the transition to more renewable forms of energy and more lower carbon forms of energy as well in the region. Then, as I mentioned, circularity is one of the areas where we're looking, and here a big highlight is that Mandarin Oriental has actually been working quite a lot on reducing their plastics, and they're actually looking towards a target of 99% plastic-free by the end of this year, which they are on track to achieve. And on shaping social inclusion, as I mentioned, we've got quite a few of our employees, more than 400,000 actually, working on supporting livelihoods and helping with health and education initiatives across the region. In addition to that, we've also got quite a lot of effort going into supporting access to education through the Jardine Foundation and the Aclita Jardines Educational Foundation as well. Part of all of this, or a major part of all of this, I should say, is the need for our colleagues to be on board and for us to actually make sure that everyone is feels that they're being supported by the organization and are a part of this journey as well. And so we do put quite a lot of effort into our health, safety, and well-being, our diversity and inclusion aspects, and talent management and the like. So our colleagues are actually a major part of our success factors, I suppose, for us to be able to say that we are a more sustainable organization, and we continue to work towards that. So I would like to pass on to Janice. Go ahead. And she's going to talk a little more on the innovation side.
Great. So thank you so much, Nadira, for the introduction on why accessibility actually matters and how basically Jardine sees it. So I'll actually now talk a little bit about the different approaches when it comes to driving innovation and sustainability. So when it comes to the core driver of innovation, there are threefold. First is about innovate core, innovate customer, and also innovate futures. So putting that into the context of sustainability, for Innovate Core, it is actually about rethinking our business operations, thinking about the different ways to make basically our businesses operations more sustainable when it comes to how we run our stores, run our plants, as well as our factories, but also, I guess, also the way of how we engage our supply chain and as well as ecosystem. For the second one, about innovate the customer, it's about actually developing new offerings and products for meeting the customer's sustainability needs. So in the case of like a B2B customer, it might be new solutions to help them meet their sustainability goals, or even for like retail consumers, when it comes to making their purchase decision, they may now care more about sustainability. And the third is about Innovate Future, which means how we think about the different ways to actually capture new business models as well as new ventures in the new green economy. So we can either do it by building a new venture, partnering with others, or actually investing. So with these kind of like core pillar of like basically innovation, it has to be underpinned by basically the technology infrastructure, as well as I guess the key capabilities and also a culture for driving those changes. And that is really about our people. So that is just an overall framework on, I guess, how we can think about the different ways to drive innovation in the context of sustainability. So I guess to put it into, I guess, like make it more real, I'll share a few examples of some of the case studies that we have seen happening across the Jardine businesses. So the first is actually a case about how a company is leveraging digital technologies for environment management as well as smallholder partnership. So Astra Agroindustry actually understand that it's very important to actually think about responsible production of palm oil, and they have been actually encouraging sustainable practices for a number of years, and the policies include no deforestation, preservation of basically the peatland, as well as I guess respecting human rights across the operations. So I guess amongst the many different topics, they have been thinking about how they can use technology for that. And it's not like kind of something new. They have been using technology in their operations for a number of years, and they have also received some recognitions when it comes to being innovative, including an award by, I guess, the Indonesia Digital Innovation Award. So one specific case study that we're going to share here is about how they basically think about prevention of land and forest fire. So for them, they actually understand the importance of taking anticipatory steps in order to prevent that. So in order to improve the efficiency of monitoring the plantations that they have and in the surrounding areas, they actually decided to use unmanned aerial vehicles for doing that. And that actually allows the team dedicated to preventing and responding to land and forest fire to actually move faster to the location based on the coordinates that you can see through the drone camera. And apart from, I guess, just using a technology, they also take an approach of actively involving the stakeholders. So one of the ways for them to do that is to broadcast SMS to basically their communities in order to kind of mobilize them when it comes to the prevention on the different kinds of fires. So up till now, they actually have more than 100 community care for forest fire. So, and that has been implemented across 28 subsidiaries. So we can definitely see them actually like taking a lot of effort in that space. And actually beyond just, I guess, the environment side, they also understand the importance of engaging the smallholder community. So they have been actually developing different digital solutions to engage the smallholder community, partner with them, and that also improves the supply chain transparency as well. So these are just a few examples of what basically Astra Agroindustry has been doing in the past years, and there are more to come. So you can see that's how a business actually try to leverage innovation and digital in actually improving their operation, making it more sustainable. The next example is actually a collaboration with a startup to turn surplus bread into beer. So Maxims has been trying very hard to reduce food waste at its bakery, and for the unavoidable waste, they're trying to find different ways to come up with circular solutions to make good use of the food waste. So one of the questions they have been thinking is, how can we create value from the surplus bread that they have? So what they are doing is they are through a collaboration with a startup funded by students from the University of Science and Technology. They actually come up with the idea of maybe they can make use of their surplus bread to turn into something interesting. So basically, the startup can turn surplus bread into beer. And the product they are actually producing is called BOB, which stands for Bottle of Bread. So that's actually a very interesting example on circularity in action, where they decide to turn surplus food into something of economic value and for enjoyment, and at the same time putting those waste back into the supply chain instead of the landfill. So that's, even though it's small in scale, it's a very interesting example, and looking forward to seeing that scale. So the next example is also a partnership with startup about researching and developing energy storage to replace diesel generators. So it is actually for Gammon. Gammon is a construction company that has the mission to decarbonize construction operations, and they are actually driving electrification of construction sites in Hong Kong. So as they are kind of thinking about this kind of challenge, one of the specific interest area that they have a few years ago is about replacing the diesel generators on site for constructions, which actually has a lot of issue when it comes to fume, fire risk, pollution, noise, etc. So Gammon worked together with a Hong Kong-based startup called Amped Energy, and together they have a R&D project to develop a kind of a replacement for diesel generator. So the product is called Entertainer, which is an energy storage solution that can actually power the different construction equipments on site to replace diesel generator. So this kind of very quiet entertainer can actually emit less fume as well as less carbon dioxide as well. So this is an example on basically a collaboration on making your kind of like operations also more efficient as well through a collaboration with startup. So I guess the last example is a new venture, actually for improving energy efficiency through AI analytics. So Jardine Engineering Corporation has been focusing on finding new opportunities when it comes to sustainability, and they're really keen to offer sustainability as a service, but at the same time kind of thinking about how does data and analytics can play a role in that. So with this kind of challenge statement of thinking, how can we reduce climate impact of commercial buildings? They decide to start a project which is called JEDI. So JEDI stands for Jardine Engineering Digital Insights. So it's basically an AI-powered analytics platform focusing on optimizing efficiency. So actually when the project first rolled is actually with Hong Kong Land. In 2020, they managed to improve 10% efficiency gain for the cooling system for Hong Kong Land Central portfolio. Apart from Hong Kong Land, they're also working with Hecto, Astra, and also other Asia businesses. So I guess one of the achievements is that last year, they managed to save 4 million kilowatt hours of energy, which is the equivalent of 3,000 tons of carbon dioxide emission. So it's very interesting how a traditional businesses decide to kind of launch new ventures to capture opportunities related to sustainability, but at the same time thinking about how to leverage data analytics to actually deliver that. So that's another example. So I hope these examples actually shows you maybe what some of the initiatives or what our businesses have done in the past. However, I think you might be thinking, oh, like there are actually more and more sustainability challenges, a lot of things might become more urgent, and at the same time, we are also seeing there are actually new technologies emerging. So the question is, how can we make sure that we are continuously innovating to make sure we are on top of different trends, but at the same time driving sustainable impact at scale? So there are, of course, many things that the businesses can be doing, and I'll just share maybe one initiative that has happened in the past, which is Hack Asia. So Hack Asia is a program where we want to engage the startup and student and innovator community to solve the different challenges facing different big companies here in Asia. And I guess in the spirit of this program, it's really about creation, collaboration, as well as innovation. So we have been running Hack Asia in the past 3 years, started in 2019, which is a program focusing on students, to 2020, a hybrid program engaging both students and startups, to Hack Asia 2021 that happened earlier this year in a fully virtual format. So for Hack Asia, I will talk a little bit more about what is so special about the past edition of Hack Asia. So the theme is actually Innovate the Sustainable Future, which I guess compared to the years before, which is just about innovation to traditional business challenges, this year we decided to put sustainability at the heart of that because we understand it's very core to basically how our businesses should be doing in the future. And one interesting additional element towards that is that we also run an internal ideation challenges with all our businesses before. So we want to tap into all the great ideas that our colleagues have internally. Then we run our traditional hackathon where we look out when it comes to all the startup and innovator communities looking for ideas and solutions to solve some of these big challenges. So we are very excited to hear the different ideas and solutions that basically the innovation community has for some of our businesses across, I guess, different sustainability themes. So that's basically, I guess, Hackasia this year. And I think we would just want to also thank all the participating businesses who support that, and also our ecosystem partner, including Microsoft, Google, WO Hub, Rise, Invest Hong Kong, EDB, and more. So I believe that with basically a collaboration with the ecosystem, we are able to generate sustainable impact at scale. So that's a lot of kind of case study. I think it would be very useful for us to hear directly from some of the practitioners on the ground. So today we actually have Elfis Lee from Hong Kong Land coming here to maybe share to us some of your experience as well in the space. So maybe Elfis, I will start with our first question. What is actually the strategic intent behind, I guess, your work in terms of engaging with the ecosystem, and what are some of the challenge statements that you have?
Hello, everyone. Just for the interest of our audience, I would like to quickly introduce the background of Hong Kong Land before going into Janice's question. Hong Kong Land is the real estate arm of Jardine Matheson Group. We own and manage prime office space, luxury retail properties, as well as high-quality residential and mixed-use developments across key Asian cities, principally in Hong Kong, Singapore, Beijing, and Jakarta. To go back to Janice's question, as I am part of the digital transformation, innovation, and ecosystem development team of Hong Kong Land, my team's mandate is to bring innovation and technologies into our business agenda that creates a long-term value to our stakeholders and to make our businesses and our communities more sustainable. So if you ask me what is the most critical sustainability goal for Hong Kong Land, or for generally all the real estate players, we would have to say it is no doubt to be cutting down carbon emissions right now. Building sector is one of the major contributors of carbon emissions, so decarbonization in construction of buildings, operations, and utilization of the built environment are becoming very critical to our business. As such, as Nadira has mentioned, Hong Kong Land has already committed and got our SBTi targets validated. We set quite ambitious targets so that we can have our net zero and carbon reductions target by 2030. But having said that, when we see these kind of reductions targets, we also know that this is quite challenging to our businesses. So when we go back to talk to our internal BUs and ask them, what are some of the ideas that we may be able to be of help in solving your business pain points, a lot of the problem statements we can hear is about, are there any innovative solutions or technologies that can bring the most impact to achieve our sustainability targets? Or how can we leverage these innovative solutions or technologies to reduce our operational carbon emissions? And the most challenging one is, how do we tackle embodied carbon reductions in our buildings? So from these challenge statements, we can tell innovation and sustainability are actually inseparable, because innovation is key to drive the sustainable development of real estate, but the increasing importance of sustainability also pushes innovation in its new frontier. So we will need to work together in the value chain to ensure that we can hit the carbon reduction target by the 2030 time frame. So these are some of the challenge statements that I can share.
So I guess with this challenge statement, what kinds of solutions are you looking for?
Basically, we have been already deploying quite a lot of smart green technologies to try to optimize our energy utilization, as well as to further reduce our electricity consumption. Nadira and Janice, you have already mentioned about Jardine, which is in collaboration with our sister company JEC. By implementing this energy analytic platform, basically for one individual single building, we can already achieve 8% or above of energy consumption for a single building compared to the same period last year. Besides Jedi, we have also launched a cloud-based service called Comfy via our office community app Centricity, rolled out by Hong Kong Land. Basically, it allows our building occupants to adjust the indoor space temperature And Comfy has the AI functionality to be able to automatically adjust the indoor temperature while at the same time achieve energy saving. From our statistics, we can save 2.5% of AC electricity consumption, and we can also, very importantly, reduce the service costs provided by the tenants about 60%. So this is quite a good innovation that we have already applied. And we have also installed a lot of solar PV panels in the rooftops of our central portfolio. From some of the information we collected, currently Hongkong Land as a building owner, we have the largest number of PV panel installations on the Hong Kong Island side. So this is quite an amazing result that we have already been doing. And right now, we are placing quite a high emphasis in scouting low carbon construction and green materials for new construction, fit out, and facility management usage. We are also actively looking into different sustainability technologies, such as renewable energy generation, circular economy solutions, and some smart waste management solutions as well.
So some needs out there that Elfis is putting out to everyone in the audience. Elfis, can you tell us if there's a proof of concept that you have right now in the works when it comes to sustainability, and how do you provide a bit more what do you bring to the collaboration? What does a startup bring to the collaboration?
Yeah, sure. As we've just mentioned that we are quite interested in looking for circular economy solution. That is now we are running a trial collaboration with VCycle. It is a social enterprise offering waste plastic recycling and upcycling solution. We are now, as the innovation team of Hongkong Land, we are now working closely with the startup by helping them to harvest the waste plastic bottle being collected in the central portfolio, and they collected those waste plastic for their further handling, and they will produce those waste plastic into some tote bags or souvenirs that we can send back to our partners and tenants to celebrate a new project launch in Central going to happen end of this year. So we think that this solution and this POC is a very meaningful one, because it just not only provides a circular economy concept to us. For this startup, they basically will hire some cardboard elderlies in the society to help them sort the waste plastic during the process. So we think that this POC can not just only fulfill our sustainability needs, but also will help us to deliver some CSR to show our care to the community. So we think that, for the innovation team, we have to take up the responsibility by bridging the gap between our internal BUs as well as the startups, helping to understand the situations of both parties so that we can make this POC successful. And the success of this POC is very important to Hongkong Land, because we are able to utilize this example to tell our tenants, to engage our tenants or customers to do more together in terms of our sustainability journey. We think that this is very important to have the joint collaboration effort in order to achieve the sustainability result together.
That sounds very exciting, about this collaboration. But I'm sure that there might be also challenges when it comes to technology scouting in general. So can you also maybe talk a little bit about what are the challenges you face in the process as well?
Yep, this is a very good question, because we definitely are facing some challenges in scouting solutions, particularly in low carbon technologies or the green building materials that we are looking for in terms of our decarbonization journey. I think one of the most serious problem is that a lot of them are still in the R&D stage. We have come across some of the very promising technologies which cannot be commercialized until 2024. Given with a lot of different reasons, such as funding, such as limited space for their expansion, etc. Another problem is that a lot of these innovative solutions are being developed outside Asia. So if you imagine if we would like to utilize those low carbon materials, but we have to ship them into our project site, basically it will offset all the carbon footprint that they can achieve, right? So and also we cannot receive timely technical support from them because they are outside Hong Kong. Right.
Do you have any other PropTech solutions that you're working on that are inside Hong Kong?
a very quick promotion that Hong Kong is actually leading an initiative called Hong Kong PropTech Alliance, which we are very happy that to be joined by 15 industry players and real estate developers as of today. We have this PropTech Alliance because we would like to address some PropTech issues together. We would like to collaborate as a group in order to accelerate the PropTech development and adoption within the region, as well as to address some of the very important topics, including sustainability. We have been talking a lot in terms of sustainability within this PropTech Alliance, so do stay tuned for our further updates later.
Thank you so much, Elfis, and thank you, Janice, as well. I'd like to also just kind of wrap up really quickly. One, PropTech is incredibly important for us to actually achieve our decarbonization objectives. As we know, Hong Kong has a 2050 target for net zero, and the majority of our greenhouse gas emissions do come from property. So this is a big opportunity. And the second is that we cannot achieve any of our sustainability goals or our plans and our objectives and moving forward together without innovation and without any of the solutions that the startups may bring to us. So we really do look forward to being able to collaborate with more and more of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.